Well, was it just me this year, or did y'all all want to get ready for Christmas super early? I usually wait until after Thanksgiving to put up my Christmas, not this year. I just wanted my home to feel happy. It's been a tough year. And I even put my Christmas lights up outside early this year because I wanted that joy. I wanted to feel it as soon as I could. There are always two boxes from my garage that I cannot wait to open for Christmas. Those are traditions to me, those special two boxes. The first box is the manger set. Of course it's special because of its religious tradition, but these are Hummel figurines that my mom and dad bought the year I was born in Germany when my dad was serving at the tail end of the Korean War. Now, after 68 years of this manger being at every family Christmas that I ever had, the cattle is still lowing, but without one ear. But the others are all in perfectly good shape. The second box that I get so excited about opening is the box with all of the Christmas stockings in it. When I open that box of Christmas stockings, I just have all kinds of memories. Now, I can already see my older daughter sitting here going, "Oh, Mom, couldn't you have picked a cuter picture of us as kids?" But let me just tell you what happened this year. When I opened that box this year, the stench of mold was so disgusting, I didn't even know what to do. You see, I had a bag of potpourri that I've had for years. And for whatever reason this year, it got so moldy that this thick, putrid, gray gunk seeped through the bag into every single thing that was in that box, which were all of our stockings. You know, to me, stockings are really an important tradition in the family because you start out when your children are born, and then those children grow up and they get boyfriends or girlfriends who then become husbands. So you add stockings to your mantle. So what happens when all of those stockings are ruined? I thought, no problem. A little Woolite and a gentle wash cycle, they'll be good as new. Well, not so much. This is Lexi's stocking. When she saw it this year, she said, "Did the cats get to those?" Stephen, I hate to tell you, yours didn't fare so well either. And Blakely, honey, I'm really glad you can't see how bad yours is. These stockings were absolutely ruined beyond comprehension. But for centuries, I'm going to tell you, Christmas comes and goes, whether there are stockings on the mantle or not. And there was no way, when I look at how we merge our family traditions with our spiritual traditions to celebrate the birth of the child in Bethlehem, the child who brought love to this world in the most undeniable way, the fact that my family's stockings were absolutely destroyed was not going to change that love. The fact that I am looking out at you all and not able to see your faces, and I see that so many of you are here with smaller families than you would normally be here with. And we actually have empty pews in the sanctuary this year, and that's not going to stop Christmas from coming either, is it? But things are different this year. And with the coronavirus that has infected our lives, we've all had to make incredible sacrifices over these last 9 months. For some of you that are here, some of you even that are watching online, This may be the first Christmas that you may be spending Christmas alone without family. And some of you have family that traveled a little bit, and others just said, no, we just can't travel this year. But there's a reason that the Christmas season is usually the highest volume travel season of the year. It is because Christmas calls us home. Christmas calls us home. And yet here we are on Christmas Eve, and the travel has been cut back almost to nothing. And again, as I say, so many of us are not even sharing Christmas with people we love this year. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I somehow noticed this song playing more than ever before any other year. To me, it's the saddest song of any Christmas. I'll be home for Christmas, but only in my dreams. I'm sure that Mary and Joseph were very cautious traveling on their first Christmas also. For them, that special night occurred for them after a very long journey, a difficult journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem, where Joseph had been called home to be part of the census in the town where he had been born. Maybe you're here tonight. Maybe you're watching online tonight with family. Maybe your family is watching from even other places in this country. Maybe you come here tonight because it just wouldn't be Christmas if you can't sing some of the traditional Christmas songs. Some of you may be here tonight because someone invited you to come and be with us. But whatever the reason or purpose that you're here tonight, the reason you are here is that Christmas has called you home, to your spiritual home, to the place where you know your heart must be on Christmas Eve. Our spirituality is so directly connected with our own personal stories, with our own faith journeys. And that's what home is all about, isn't it? So I want to be a little cliche and just get this over with right now and say, if home is where the heart is, where is your heart tonight? Is Jesus calling you softly and tenderly to come home? I will tell you that the Lord has been calling us home for many, many years. In fact, many years even before Jesus was actually born. It was about 750 years before Jesus was born that the people of Israel were being torn apart by the Assyrians and the Syrians, and there were very, very bad kings back then, and they did not have the people's best interest in heart. But it was in the midst of all of that chaos and trouble that the prophet Micah spoke these beautiful words of hope. Hope directly from God. He was told that Bethlehem would be the place where the long-awaited Messiah would make his entry into this world. The Savior of not only Israel, but a Savior for the entire world. The text says this, "But you, Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth to me the one to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth are from of old, from everlasting." So I couldn't help but be thinking about Bethlehem. I've been fortunate to travel to Bethlehem on 4 occasions, and it is a small town. It's a very small community. Why didn't God pick the great city of Jerusalem for this incredible event? Well, I will tell you that Bethlehem is a very, very special place where people worked the fertile soil. They produced food for the surrounding region and sustenance for their neighbors. It was a very humble, small town of hard-working people. It wasn't a holy city. It wasn't a city of worship. The community was dear to the heart of the Hebrew people, and it was a city that was highly favored by God. You see, in Bethlehem, the beloved wife of Jacob had died and was buried there. This was also the city of Ruth, who lived there with her husband Boaz. And you may remember that Ruth was the great-grandmother of Bethlehem's most distinguished son, David. In fact, the city of Bethlehem is named the City of David. Now, I truly do doubt that when God gave Micah those words so many hundreds of years ago, that he had any idea of the power of the revelation that he had been given when he pointed to that modest city of Bethlehem to be the place where this incredibly wonderful thing would happen. And yet, in the depths of desperation, God was already working for good to birth something fabulous. Now, when we look to the ordinary to find the extraordinary, when we can see the power of God in times and places where we least expect it, that's when we can really see God working through ordinary people like you and like me and doing extraordinary things. Think about it. This allows us to see how a little town like Bethlehem could become the world's last best hope. And it also allows us to see how this little bitty baby would overcome the forces of evil in this world to bring love to a hurting world. My friends, the miracle of God is that he can and he does make of nothing. He makes something from everything. And the test of his power is not his capacity to move mountains, but to make much of little. That is what he did when he created this beautiful world in which we live. That is what he does every Christmas. And that is what he does with us. The true light of Christmas belongs to those who recognize that it's not the family traditions that matter. It's not even the religious traditions that matter. Christmas calls us home to the real presence of Christ in our lives. Wherever we are, whether we're in a sanctuary or in a sacred space in our home, wherever we are, regardless of whether the Christmas stockings that hung on my mantle for 36 years are hanging there tonight or not. Because even when things aren't perfect, when things aren't the way we wish they could be, God really does work for good in all things. You can say it again, Blakely. She agrees. The people of Micah's time were excited to hear that a Savior was coming, but they probably thought it would come a lot sooner than 750 years later. Listen, that day I opened up my washing machine hoping that all the mold would be gone from my stockings. I found dripping wet, shredded stockings that I carried out to the railing by my front door, thinking somehow maybe I could save the shreds that were left. Well, as you can see from how shredded they were, that was impossible. But right then, as I was feeling a little woe is me about it, a friend of mine drove by and, of course, made me laugh hysterically at what a stupid thing had happened. Before I was even back in the house to reorder those stockings, she had recognized the store where I had bought them and had already sent a little gift card to help buy the first few stockings to be replaced. And guess what? Not only did they come in about a week, they came in plenty of time to enjoy them all over again. And while they were different, and these were new traditional stockings, they meant just as much, even then. I know that many of our traditions are different this year, but Emmanuel is still God with us. Tonight, please don't dream about being home for Christmas. Come home to the Lord, and everything else will fall into place.